We wrap up our coverage of the East with Western Kentucky, and joining us in his first year as head coach, but no stranger to Western Kentucky, Tyson Helton. Tyson, good to have you in the conference again, I should say.
It's great to be back.
We'll talk to you in a minute. Lucky Jackson's also going to be joining us, a wide receiver, 3 straight years. He has played 12 games, just an awesome player, durable too.
Thank
also
you.
joining us, Devin Key, tied for the team lead with total tackles. Gentlemen, I'll talk to the coach first. First of all, when you obviously were Jeff Brom at Western Kentucky. When you knew this was opening up, how quick were you to say, I wouldn't mind going back there?
Well, for me, it was always a destination job. Just having the great experience there and working for Jeff and how great a place Western is and Bowling Green, Kentucky is. I always told myself, hey, if I get a chance to go back, I'm going back. And so the timing was right, and I'm really excited to be the head football coach.
Well, when you took the job, one of the first things you said is you told the fans you're going to re-energize the offense, because when you were there, this offense motored.
And, we had a lot of good players, and we got a lot of good young players again. And so, I always look at things like, if I was a fan, what would I want to see, and how would I be entertained? Because at the end of the day, that's when we're on the field, we're in the entertainment business. So, whether you're winning or losing games, as a fan, you want to know you're going to see an exciting brand of football. And so that'll be our goal offensively.
Well, when you were an assistant, I went back and kind of averaged things out. They averaged 44 points a game and 530 yards a game in that span you were an assistant. That's a lot of yards. And I like the fact I look over at Lucky and he's going, yeah. That was impressive, though.
Yeah, it was. It was a great time, and, we had, a lot of good players, and Lucky had an opportunity to be a part of that. That was really cool for me to come back, and Lucky was a young guy, and now I call him an old salty dog, but, he's one of our leaders, and he's a guy that we're going to be expecting to do big things for us this year.
Well, the offense graduated only 3 players. You've got 9 starters back. Brian Ellis, the coordinator. How important is it to have that experience? And now you've got to almost change offensive systems. How long before they actually adapt, or have they already?
I think they've already adapted. Our kids have done a great job over the summer. We have our PRP practices, and our guys run them, and they've done a tremendous job with it. They've embraced the offense, and so we're right where we need to be. We got to get through fall camp, and put some final touches on it. But I'm excited about where we're heading and where we're as a team, as a whole.
Now, Stephen Duncan established himself last year as the quarterback, as a former quarterback yourself at Houston. By the way, when Conference USA first started, man, I'm old. This just isn't right, Coach.
I was going to say the year, but we'll keep that.
Yeah, we'll just stop right there. But what's the first thing you told him when you took over? Because in your offense, that's such an important part.
Well, I think, as a quarterback unit as a whole, I always talk to those guys, and we're actually still going to let our guys compete and see who the guy's going to be and all those things. But we're a quarterback-driven offense, and we'll live and die by the quarterback. And, that's really what college football is today and football in general. If you don't have a trigger man, you're going to struggle. And so I feel like we got some guys in place that have an opportunity to lead us down the field and win some games for us. And we're going to put the ball in their hands, and we'll win and lose games based upon how they play.
And you also signed players that are going to push him, and it's not his job right now. I mean, you got to push him in practice, right?
Correct.
Talk about who you've got else.
Yeah, so, we signed Ty Story, graduate transfer out of Arkansas. Really liked Ty. Started 10 games for Arkansas. A great league, great competitive league in the SEC, and he comes in with a lot of experience. I love the fact he's a little different skill trait than Steven is. He can run around, make plays, create. So those guys, are 2 different type quarterbacks, and then we got Davis Shanley, who played some last year, did a great job, and Kavaris Thomas is a young, strong-arm quarterback, and so. You got 4 to 5 guys there that, we just got to bring along, and whoever the quarterback's going to be, we'll build the offense around him and feel comfortable with who is leading us.
Well, you have to feel comfortable, too, because on the offensive line, pretty much everyone's back. And when I look at the roster, I think there's only really 2 seniors.
Right.
So the future is good, but talk about your offensive line, the fact you come in, and that is pretty much established.
Yeah, it always starts with the offensive line. And I love the continuity of our O-line. Those guys have played a lot of ball together. They're a tough group. They're a smart group. They're tied together well. And they're really the foundation of our offense. And so they take a lot of pride in their play. And so we're going to really put a lot on those guys. You know, they're going to have to really get after it and pass protect and run games and all those things. But it makes you feel good as an offensive coach knowing that at least you have a strong foundation in your offensive line.
And you also have Miles Pate, second-team All-Conference USA in 2018, preseason All-Conference USA coming in this year. Let's talk about the defense. 6 starters are back. But what was odd, usually when there's coaching change, there's change in coaching staffs. You kept the defensive coaches for the most part. Why?
Okay, so I tell you, when I first got there, I had an opportunity to meet with every staff member. And as I got to know the defensive staff, I said, man, these guys really fit what I'm looking for. And I kind of went back and I looked over the past 2 years, and I saw that, hey, we had some young kids. They played some pretty good, solid ball, and I thought their best years would be ahead of them. And our defense coordinator, Clayton White, I had a chance to sit down with him and was just tremendously impressed. I mean, the guy's a superstar. And I told him my vision. He shared his vision for the defense. And something inside of me said, hey, this is a great group. They got something good going. Let's keep that consistency going. And it really helped us this spring. I think, our defense is really probably ahead of our offense, to be honest with you. And we'll have to rely on them probably early. But it's probably the best thing I did, and really happy with our staff.
Well, the one thing that stood out to me last year is your sacks improved.
Right.
And that is probably the basis of just about any defense. You got to put some pressure on people.
Right. And Clayton's, he does a great job of changing things up, and he'll get after the quarterback, and, he changes packages and all those things. So, and he's done some things this spring that I think a couple wrinkles that he's added that's really going to help us as well defensively.
Well, Juwan Jones, talk about him, because last year he was a member of Conference USA's all-freshman team. Coaches say they want to see big growth between freshman and sophomore. You're already smiling. Freshman and sophomore year. Have you challenged him?
I have, and these two guys sitting next to me can tell you I have on the field. And I tell you, he's one of our leaders of our defense. He's really got all the intangible you're looking for. He's a good football player. He's passionate about the game. He's a smart guy. He's a leader. So those are the things you really want out of your top players. And he's really embraced this summer about, hey, let's take it to the next level. And I'm excited to see him play this year. I think he's going to do some great things.
Well, Nick Holt was the leading tackler last year. He has moved on. He was an aggressive player, and he was kind of the inspiration of the defense. Who takes his place?
Well, we got a couple guys. I won't name any in particular, but that was one area we really needed to solidify. We signed a couple guys in the spring, a couple of grad transfers and those things. And feel like that position will be pretty strong. We moved Kyle Bailey inside, and I think that was a good move for us. Kyle's put on about 15 pounds. He's looking great. He's doing a lot of good things. So, what I love about our defense is the backers are interchangeable. Right. And so I think, we'll have a good core right there.
Kyle was kind of a safety, though, wasn't he?
He was. Kyle was a safety and played a little bit of outside backer, but – we thought he had the frame to put on weight and move inside, and he's done a great job with it.
Let's talk to Lucky Jackson, wide receiver, Dontavian Lucky Jackson. How'd you get the name Lucky?
It came from my mom and my dad. I have an older sister who's 25, and they weren't really preparing or expecting for another child after my sister, and it just kind of happened and stuck with me.
I'm surprised your name isn't Oops. What the heck? When you heard Coach Helton was coming back, your first thought?
I was ecstatic just because I've been coached by him before, and I know he's fired up to be here, and he's looking forward to coaching us. And I know his standard and expectations, and it just had me fired up. And I know he's a coach that loves winning. 51
receptions, 563 yards. We'll take a look at some of the offense right now. How different is it, though, from last year to this year, this offense, although you have a familiarity already with it?
It's just a lot of guys that want to play for each other and play great for our coach. You're going to see an offense that's going to get after it. We're going to be able to move the ball down the field and make big plays.
Now, you've tasted success, obviously, at Western Kentucky. So was last year even tougher for you?
As far as what?
As not having a great year at only 3-9?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Just knowing what we were capable of and where we've been, just coming off of a season like that has a bad taste in our mouth, and we want to get back to where we've been.
Talk about spring practice. Was there a bounce in everybody's step that maybe you didn't have for a while?
Yeah, for sure. Guys looking forward to practice just because the competition level is a lot higher, just because we all have that common goal in mind.
Let's talk to Devin Key. Started both his freshman and sophomore years. Last year had 3 interceptions. But the key to him, I think, is you were a big-time wide receiver in Kentucky, weren't you, in high school?
Something like that.
Something like
yeah,
that.
Something like that.
You're allowed to brag. Go ahead.
I played running back and receiver in high school, and and along with safety. But coming into college, I had to stick to hitting people instead of being hit.
How did that help, though, the fact that you know what receivers are going to do?
Just having that offensive kind of background, I guess, it helped me a lot just to know, like, I guess, route concepts, and it helped me a lot with safety because I know when maybe, like, if one receiver does this, and I know something's coming off of that.
Now, we talked about Clayton White. We take a look at some of the defensive highlights right now. We talked about Coach White coming back. That consistency with having him, you know him, he knows you. Is that important to you?
It's very important to me. He takes the time to really get to know everybody on the team, no matter who you are. Coming into year 3, he has big expectations for us as far as how he plans for us to play. He likes to send pressure. He likes to do everything, and he feels like with it being year 3, he can do a whole lot more.
One of the things that, and we talked to Coach about it, that stood out is the sacks last year. Is that something you hang your hat on going into this season?
I think we do. There's always room for improvement. As you said, the sacks improved. That just helps us on the back end be able to cover and let them guys get to the quarterback.
Let's talk about your schedule because week 2, you go right into conference play. Not exactly ideal, but it is what it is right now. How important is week 1 then when you know that you've got a conference game coming up in week 2?
Well, you know, every game's important to you, obviously. And so week 1 is a home game, and everybody will be excited. It's a Thursday night game, so we'll be one of the first college football games played. So everybody's excited about that. And so we got to get off to the right start there. But you're right. You know, we'll enter conference play right away with a great conference opponent. And, you know, I think our guys are excited about the challenge, to be honest with you. You know, if you want to be a good football team, you got to beat the best. So that's what we plan to do.
Well, we're excited to have you back in the conference, and I
appreciate
look forward to coming here.
Great
Coach,
to see you again,
good to see you again,
man.
my friend.
You too.
Gentlemen, stay healthy. We appreciate you spending time with us. When we come back, we're going to be talking a couple of NFL players that have 3 Super Bowl rings between them. We'll talk about that in Conference USA more as we wrap things up here in Frisco, Texas.